Bigfoot is possibly the most famous cryptid out there in the world. So much so that now we're going to take a second, alternate spec-evil look at it. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Speculative Wildlife Research Center. Some time ago, we took a look at Bigfoot reimagined in our usual style, but now we've returned to do something different, taking a more literal look at the appearance and stories told about this awesome creature. Thanks a lot to patron Jackson Younger for sponsoring this episode. And please consider Sasquatching the like and subscribe. What am I even doing? And now, without further ado, let's get started. All across the world, many different species of enormous apes or ape-like beings have been reported, some being well known and some mystifying us due to how little is known about them, as they have avoided detection by humanity for far longer than many species in the world, with the Sasquatch being the prime example of this phenomenon. Modern phylogenetic and molecular analysis point towards the Sasquatch being closely related to the extinct Gigantopithecus blacki, having evolved into a somewhat more bipedal body plan convergent with that of hominids as they migrated towards the northern, colder steppes of the world, at which point they would cross the Bering Land Bridge not long before humanity would. In modern times, the Sasquatch is mainly present across Canada and the USA, leading to its scientific name, Gigantopithecus canadensis. A part of their anatomy that is of particular note is their feet, and not only because their footprints are what led to the initial discovery of this species. The feet of the Sasquatch present a structure similar to that of Ardipithecus, with a stiff outer edge that makes walking along the ground easier, a development convergent with that of our own anatomy. Their pelvic structure is further adapted to this type of locomotion, showing greater depth and width than those of other modern apes. Its similitude to our own points to it being a key element that allowed the ancestors of the Sasquatch to migrate as they did. Similar to other modern apes, the feet of the Sasquatch are padded, a result of their previous tree-dwelling ancestry, and these pads have become much larger and thicker to help support the massive weight of the Sasquatch. While the size of ancestral Gigantopithecus species is currently unknown, it is likely to have been similar to that of modern Sasquatch, although the bipedal stance of the latter makes them appear even larger, reaching heights of 2.5 meters or 8 feet, and weights of up to 500 kilograms or 1,000 pounds. This huge size also gives them an amazing degree of strength, far above the capabilities of smaller apes. Part of their adaptations to the colder environments of their ancestors include a much denser layer of fur that helped them retain heat. If witness accounts are to be believed, the Sasquatch present very diverse colorations as a result of genetic variation, with their coats ranging from black and brown to light tan, with older members of the species even going grey the same way other great apes do, although the extent of this decoloration is comparable only to that seen in humans. Nowadays, all that remains of this fur is the long, shaggy hair flowing down from their back, legs and forearms, which provide them with great camouflage when they squat down, hiding their figure among the vegetation. Sasquatch have a mostly herbivorous diet consisting of leaves, shoots, roots and berries, as well as the bark of trees, which they will collect along deliberate paths that take them to the best sources of food. However, their somewhat long and powerful jaws, along with their sharp canines, have allowed them to supplement their diet with meat. Consistent with their arboreal ancestry and omnivory, the Sasquatch also present nails that have adapted into almost completely retractable claws thanks to the development of muscle that retracts and projects the nail, thus making their hands capable of both manipulation and ripping of flesh. While they most commonly obtain this meat from carrion or small reptiles and invertebrates, some eyewitness reports claim that the Sasquatch are capable of running down deer to eat them. But this is most likely a result of misinterpreting the way they use their intelligence to set traps and coordinate with each other to hunt. The abundant sightings of this creature across both night and day suggest it is cathemeral, meaning they are active at irregular intervals during both night and day in order to avoid predation or thermoregulate. They likely have an appropriately acute vision as a result of this, enabling them to see both in light and in the dark. Given the huge size of the Sasquatch, one might find it odd to hear reports of these creatures climbing trees. However, this behavior makes a lot more sense when we look at another great ape, the gorilla. Similar to them, the Sasquatch present sexual dimorphism, with very large males and much smaller females, with the latter and the young members of the troop being able to climb trees for fun, for foraging or for protection, using their claws to grip the branches. An overall similar social structure to that of gorillas can also be inferred from said dimorphism, and would eventually be confirmed by later observations. Sasquatches live in large groups led by a single, or in some cases a few adult males, with younger males leaving the groups as they mature and having to find or form troops of their own. Correlating with their complex and numerous groups, the vocalizations of the Sasquatch are incredibly varied. Indeed, a great amount of reports attest to their incredibly diverse and complex array of vocalizations, including howls and whooping sounds, as well as teeth chattering. All of these vocalizations have been reported in other primates as being related to bonding, territoriality, submission, appeasing, and many other social functions. However, there is yet another type of vocalization that we should single out: roaring. These roars, similar to those of stags, are partially infrasonic, and infrasounds are particularly useful in forested environments, as this type of sounds can travel very far and be picked up by other members of the species. This likely indicates Sasquatches, despite hanging together for protection, are not close to one another 100% of the time, and these calls help them track their own movements when they are away. Added to this, there is evidence that the infrasounds produced by roars, particularly those emitted by big felines, are capable of immobilizing other creatures, due to a mix of fear response and the effects of infrasound waves, and it is likely the Sasquatch's roars have a similar effect. While it has been suggested these infrasounds are used to immobilize prey, this would dramatically reduce the hunting success of a Sasquatch, making it much more likely tied to intrasexual competition between males, taking advantage of its long range and intimidating factor to assert dominance and keep others away, thus reducing competition for females and territory, similar to what elephants and certain deer do, with its effect in other species being incidental rather than a viable, commonplace strategy. Now let's turn our eye to an aspect of Sasquatch biology that only became known in recent times: their intelligence. Sasquatches have been said to have a certain degree of cultural manifestations, including burial rites and limited tool usage, such as the use of weapons and projectiles. While their understanding of our technology and creations is limited, they seem very capable of singling them out among their environment, having been seen damaging trail cams, destroying tents, and vandalizing parked vehicles. And this is likely a result of the few interactions between humans and Sasquatch being rather violent, with many specimens having been shot in the past. However, it seems some populations living near them have learned to trade with the Sasquatch, with each side leaving offerings, such as food or gifts, for the other to take. From this activity we have recovered intricate branch and twig arrangements, the purpose of which is often interpreted as an artistic expression or a way to delimit their territory. The lack of knowledge about this potentially intelligent species has led to the establishment of a protected area around the state of Washington, containing the Gifford Pinchot National Forest, with the killing of a member of this species being punishable by law. This location was chosen due to the greater number of sightings, leading to the estimation that a large population inhabits the area. And it is hoped that this protection of the species will allow further investigation into their biology and, perhaps, even contact with them as a potential civilization. And that's it for a new Spec-Evo look into Bigfoot, aka Sasquatch. With this take, Jackson and I worked to give this famous cryptid as many of the characteristics it has been given over the years as we could. And trust me, it was a lot. It's impressive the level of detail and divergence some of these modern myths present even when compared with ancient creatures like those we've seen on the channel before. So in order to give it its own identity and separate it from our previous take, we made this less of our classic reimagining and more of a what would all of these disparate things tell us about an animal type of deal, with particular care being given to its appearance, making it more similar to that which is commonly associated with this creature. So I hope y'all enjoyed this episode, and if you're still around here, do tell me in the comments which of the two versions was your favorite. And before we go, here's a thank you to everyone who wanted to see more of this cryptid, and also thank you to our researchers and research associates who support us through Patreon and YouTube memberships. With special thanks to new patron Jesse Duckworth. Thanks for joining in. Remember, you too can join in if you want to support our channel, see all of our creatures and videos ahead of time, and help mold them into shape. Or you can also like, subscribe, or write a comment telling me any type of creature you would like me to give the Spec-Evo treatment in the show. Any of those really help the channel a lot. Thank you all for watching, and see you next time on the Speculative Wildlife Research Center.